Morning in a Ming capital. Shops close, soldiers form a ring, the imperial scribe reads the sentence aloud. This isn't just an execution, it's a demonstration of control. The Ling Qi, used in courts from the Song to the Qing dynasty and abolished in 1905, was reserved for crimes considered unforgivable, such as treason or killing one's own father. After the reading, the condemned man is tied up and displayed. The cuts follow an order. First, wounds that prevent immediate death, to prolong pain and humiliation before the crowd. Only at the end do the fatal blows come. There was no official number of 1,000 cuts. This changed depending on the era, province, and executioner. The entire square became a lesson. Interesting fact, some officials invoked Yue Fei, the 12th century general remembered as a symbol of total loyalty to the empire, saying that each cut was justice for the traitors who shame heroes like Yue Fei. If the Ling Qi kills in chapters, the next method promises to kill in a single blow.
If this is making sense to you, subscribe now and comment what you think. That tells me to keep going, and it makes sure you get the next ones without missing them.
One blow, two worlds. Unlike the Ling Qi, which kills in chapters, the Yao Zhan promises an immediate end, cutting the condemned in half at the waist. The method appears in records from the Qin period, the 3rd century BC, and continues to be cited at the beginning of the Han dynasty. It was no improvised lynching, it was an official punishment. The execution took place in a public square, often in front of the administrative headquarters or at the city gates, for every traveler to see. Guards hold back the crowd, the scribe reads the sentence, and the body becomes a document of the law. Typical crime? Political treason, military conspiracy, open rebellion. The logic is straightforward, no prolonged pain, no appeal. It is the state producing a binary gesture, alive versus dead, loyal versus traitor. The objective was not only to eliminate the defendant, but to close the matter. One cut, and it was over. This promise of total clarity, a problem split in half and filed away, prepares the next stage, punishment that uses many forces at once.
If the Yao Zhan tore a traitor in two, here the body is torn in 4 or 5 directions. Arms and legs are bound with ropes attached to horses or chariots, which are ordered to advance until their joints and ligaments give way. Chronicles already describe this method in the early Chinese empires, and later it reappears occasionally against rebellion leaders. It usually took place in transit areas, city gates, squares with a military presence, for all to see and carry the story forward. Each horse pulling in one direction represents the empire controlling all possible directions. Interesting fact, some imperial accounts present the scene as restoring the mandate of heaven, the idea that the emperor rules with heavenly approval. It was rare and designed for traitorous commanders. After pulling and tearing, the skin is removed and displayed. When the border becomes skin, here the punishment isn't just killing, it's transforming the body into a warning. Bo Bi, the removal of the skin as an exemplary punishment, appears in chronicles from several dynasties and is prominent in Ming accounts, almost always linked to corruption. In some versions, after the condemned man's skin was removed, the body was stuffed with straw and hung in front of the administrative headquarters like a warning dummy for every civil servant. This is more than physical brutality, it's political pedagogy. Interesting fact, in certain late records, officials swore loyalty by invoking Guan Yu, a warrior general from the Three Kingdoms period who became the god of justice, before promising to skin the corrupt. Guan Yu becomes the patron saint of loyalty. The corrupt become empty skin.
Pang You Guo is described in ancient sources as the punishment of cooking the condemned in hot water or oil. Legal texts and imperial chronicles mention this practice in times of crisis, especially after local rebellions or cases of corruption considered poisonous to the order. The scene, when narrated, is public. A large cauldron rises in front of the administrative building or even a temple. Troops surround the area. The announcement of the punishment is sometimes enough to break up the riot. Pang can mean cooking or boiling, but Youguo refers directly to hot oil. But many accounts blend the terms to heighten the moral impact, not to describe a cooking procedure. Some later narratives say the emperor acts as a quasi-divine guardian, punishing traitors in the cauldron here as demons punish souls in the cauldron in Buddhist hell. In other words, boiling becomes a bridge between human law and heavenly punishment. From the heat of the cauldron, we move into direct contact with the fire, the burning pillar. Unlike previous punishments, which are described as a legal act and a political spectacle, Pao Lao lives on the border between history and moral accusation. Classical texts say that at the end of the Shang dynasty, the last Ting, known as Zhou of Shang, had a metal cylinder heated over hot coals and forced prisoners to walk through it. Falling meant being burned alive. This type of account appears in ancient chronicles and compilations that describe the late Shang as decadent, cruel, and unworthy of rule. The important detail? These stories were repeated and expanded upon by the Zhou, the next dynasty, to justify the seizure of power. They say that in Zhou's speeches, the victorious king appears not only as a new ruler, but almost as an agent of heaven, the one who dethrones the cruel tyrant in the name of divine order.
Before you go, drop a like, subscribe, and click the video on the screen to keep going with me. You haven't finished this story yet.